Imagine a company skyrocketing to fame, its revenue doubling every year, employees ecstatic, investors thrilled, and then suddenly it collapses. How does a company go from unstoppable to unraveling overnight? The truth isn't in the market, the competition, or bad luck. It's hidden in plain sight, in the very way growth is handled. 1. The growth illusion. Fast-growing companies often give the impression of invincibility. Investors celebrate every funding round, employees feel a rush of pride, and the public views them as unstoppable. But beneath the surface, rapid growth can mask critical weaknesses. When a company expands too quickly, it often prioritizes speed over structure. Processes that worked for a team of 20 suddenly fail for a team of 200. Leadership may assume that past success guarantees future stability, ignoring the fact that growth changes the dynamics of responsibility, communication, and decision-making. Take the story of Webvan, a grocery delivery startup in the early 2000s. At its peak, it promised to revolutionize grocery shopping in cities across America. It raised hundreds of millions in funding, hired aggressively, and expanded to multiple cities. Yet within 2 years, it filed for bankruptcy. Why? Webvan grew too fast without the infrastructure to sustain that growth. They were chasing a dream of market domination without building a solid foundation. 2. The culture crush. Rapid growth strains company culture. Early employees often share a sense of mission, camaraderie, and flexibility. As the team expands, new hires bring new expectations, and the original culture can fragment. Consider Uber during its early 2010s boom. The company scaled aggressively, and in doing so, some employees felt the culture of innovation and respect eroded. Reports of internal conflicts and toxic practices emerged, which ultimately damaged its public image and employee morale. Culture is not just about fun perks, it's the glue that holds the organization together. When it weakens under growth pressure, communication breaks down, accountability suffers, and small problems escalate into crises. 3. Leadership over confidence. Founders of fast-growing companies often fall into a trap of overconfidence. Early wins create a sense of invulnerability, making leaders believe they can solve every problem instinctively. The tragic story of Theranos illustrates this perfectly. Elizabeth Holmes scaled her company at a dizzying pace, promising revolutionary blood testing technology. Investors, dazzled by her vision and early achievements, ignored warning signs. Internal voices cautioning against technical flaws were silenced. Eventually, the house of cards collapsed, leading to scandal and criminal charges. Overconfidence blinds leaders to risks. Rapid growth should invite caution and systemic checks, not hubris. 4. Cash flow blindness. Revenue growth is often celebrated, but many companies confuse revenue with profit. Fast expansion can drain cash quickly, through hiring, marketing, and scaling operations, leaving companies vulnerable. Case example, Pets.com is infamous in the dot-com bubble. It generated massive sales, but burned through cash faster than it could secure long-term profit. The company invested heavily in marketing and logistics, but never had a sustainable path to profitability. When investors lost confidence, the company collapsed. Cash is oxygen for a business. Without careful monitoring, even successful companies can suffocate under their own growth. 5. The innovation trap. When a company grows too fast, it often becomes complacent about its products or services. Early-stage startups thrive on creativity and experimentation. But as growth accelerates, focus shifts to metrics, KPIs, and maintaining appearances, often at the cost of innovation. Example, BlackBerry, once a smartphone pioneer, scaled quickly in the 2000s. Its devices dominated the market, but leadership focused on protecting market share instead of innovating. By the time competitors like Apple and Android flooded the market, BlackBerry had lost its edge, and growth stalled. Companies must balance scaling with continuous innovation. Growth without innovation is a ticking time bomb. 6. Misaligned incentives. Fast-growing companies often introduce incentives, bonuses, stock options, promotions, without fully considering how they affect behavior. employees might chase short-term wins, sales targets, or user growth at the expense of long-term stability. Consider WeWork. Aggressive expansion rewarded metrics like square footage leased and market presence, but it overlooked sustainable profitability. Incentives pushed decisions that fueled growth, but masked fundamental financial instability. Eventually, the company faced a dramatic valuation collapse and leadership shakeup. Align incentives with long-term health, not just headline growth metrics. 7. Ignoring organizational limits. Every organization has natural limits in terms of process, leadership, and communication. Rapid growth often exceeds these limits, causing operational failures. Think of scaling like a balloon. Small amounts of air make it expand nicely. Too much, too quickly, and it bursts. Companies often fail to recognize when they've stretched beyond their organizational capacity. Quibi, a short-form streaming platform, scaled quickly with high-profile hires, massive funding, and aggressive marketing. But the company misjudged audience demand and internal coordination. Within 6 months of launch, it shut down. 8. Market feedback neglect. Fast growth can create a bubble of internal optimism, where leadership ignores negative feedback from customers, employees, or partners. Example, Jawbone, a wearable tech company, grew quickly and received massive funding. But the company ignored product issues and market feedback in favor of aggressive scaling. When problems became public, trust eroded, and the company folded. Listening to the market is crucial. Rapid expansion amplifies risks if feedback loops are ignored. 9. The domino effect of small failures. Fast-growing companies often experience small failures that cascade into bigger problems. One misstep, whether in hiring, product quality, or finance, can trigger a chain reaction, magnified by the company's size and complexity. Imagine a tiny crack in a dam. At first, it seems manageable. But as water pressure builds, the crack spreads, walls weaken, and suddenly, the dam collapses. Growth accelerates pressure, and small failures compound. Enron expanded aggressively into energy trading, mergers, and new markets. Early accounting missteps escalated into systemic fraud. When the cracks appeared, the collapse was catastrophic, taking employees, investors, and entire markets down with it. 10. Sustainable growth mindset. The hidden reason fast-growing companies collapse isn't glamorous. It's not competition, bad luck, or even poor products. It's unsustainable growth without foundation. Successful companies manage growth intentionally. They invest in processes, culture, and systems. They monitor cash flow rigorously. They balance innovation with scaling. They maintain feedback loops with employees, customers, and stakeholders. They recognize their limits and grow responsibly. Imagine a company as a tree. Rapid vertical growth without strengthening roots risks snapping in the first storm. The healthiest companies grow steadily, strengthen roots, and expand branches wisely. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe for more.